Hey all, so as promised, I just got back from my first RSP drill, so I'll let you know how that went. So those of you who haven't watched my videos before, I am prior service going back into the National Guard. And because it was a 5-year break-in service, or anything over 3 years, you have to go to a prior service basic training. So that's why I'm going to RSP, is because I had a 5-year break-in service, and so that's where we are. I'm going back in as an officer candidate, so I'll be going to basic and then going to OCS shortly after. So I didn't really know what to expect with RSP, especially as prior service. I looked up some videos and some articles about your first RSP drill, what to expect, and some people were saying things like they were even like put on a bus and it was like a full basic training experience. They had drill sergeants smoking them, all that stuff. So I was kind of expecting sort of like that. I mean, I am prior service, so I know some things I'd be treated a little bit better. But I was just going to go in expecting the worst, and expecting just to fall into red phase and just get smoked with everyone else and get treated like a private. So no big deal. I went in like civilian PT clothes, which is like the uniform of RSP. They said I could have worn my ACUs, and I was going to, but I couldn't find my boots, so I need to go buy some more or something. But there was actually another prior service guy there, sergeant, which was pretty cool because it was his second drill. So it looks like they have experience dealing with prior service, which is good. I was half expecting just complete confusion, like my whole recruitment process. It was just filled with confusion and no one knew how to deal with me. There was a lot involved with my process coming back as an E6, which is uncommon, prior service in general, and then officer candidate. In combination, it was just caused a lot of confusion with what I needed to do. So, but anyways, got it all figured out. So I showed up for the first drill. Wasn't really what I expected. There wasn't really it wasn't really like a basic training feel. Didn't get smoked or anything, didn't get yelled at. Although I messed up when I first got there, but not really. So I found the building I was supposed to be at, and then there was a door. It said there was a sign that said it was for RSP and stuff. So I tried to go in and it was locked, and then I just looking around, and then I heard the door open and someone kind of peeked out at me. I mean, he was in uniform. I didn't see his rank though. I saw a bunch of stripes, but I didn't want to stare. So he was like, "Yeah, just go around back." And I was like, "Okay, thank you." And then he's like, "Oh, I'm a master sergeant, by the way." I'm like, "Oops, sorry, master sergeant, thank you." And anyway, so I went around back. That was the most I got yelled at, I guess you could say, while I was there. So went around back and stuff like that, and got to where I needed to go. Got signed in. They let us know that it was only going to be a 1-day drill because of the government shutdown. So everything was kind of rushed and compact. So it's not going to be a typical first RSP drill because of that, but it was my experience. So after we got all signed in, which took an hour because there was no organization to that, but we all got signed in and then kind of split up in phases. So if I remember correctly, it was something like if it was your first drill, maybe first or second drill, then you were in red phase. If you were shipping within the next 30 days, then you're in blue phase, and something in between is white phase. I don't know. So I'm kind of unique where I'm shipping in a little over 30 days, but I was still put in that shipping soon category, but it was also my first drill. So I was kind of red and blue phase, or they called it purple phase. And but I went with red phase for the beginning of the day because we had to do some orientation paperwork and stuff like that. So that's what we did. So we split up into the phases, and then red phase went outside. I figured red phase was going outside to get smoked or something, but we're actually just going to another room to do just orientation paperwork, and the platoon sergeant just kind of let us know what to expect. Said, "You're in the military now, you need to conduct yourself accordingly," and all that stuff. So the privates there at RSP, I'll have to stand at parade rest when talking to the NCOs. The prior service guys, me and the other sergeant, were treated, just More so as peers. They were we were getting information from them, but they weren't going to make us like stand up parade rest to talk to them or anything crazy like that. So they were pretty cool with us. So that was pretty nice. Actually, the platoon sergeant for that unit, he said he was like a former TAC, which is basically like a drill sergeant for OCS, if you're not familiar. And so he was kind of giving me some information about OCS, which is pretty cool. He knew ahead of time that I was an officer candidate and stuff like that. So yeah, got all that paperwork filled out. Next thing we had to do was the OPAT. So if you're not familiar with the OPAT, it's this new physical assessment that the Army is playing around with. Some of the cadre there thought that they're doing that as like a new intro to basic training. Like you need to pass the OPAT to be able to start basic training instead of the 111 like they did before. But then some of the people who recently got back from basic said they're still doing the 111. So I don't know if it depends where you go or I don't know. But anyways, we had to do the OPAT. So basically what the OPAT is 4 events. It's the power throw. I'll go through the events first. Power throw, standing long jump, deadlift, and the interval aerobic run thing. So for the power throw, you sit down and have your back against the wall. Your back can't come off the wall. And then you just push this. It's a 2-kilogram medicine ball that you have to throw forward. The requirements for all these are super easy. There's 3 different levels. There's 3 levels. There's moderate, significant, and heavy. And even like the highest level, which is heavy, the requirements are pretty easy. There's a couple people that failed completely, didn't even make moderate. There's like 2 females, and they failed the run. Just as long as it's about a half mile of running. So if your endurance is good enough to run, if you can do a 1 mile in about let's say a 9 or 10 minute pace, you're probably fine for this OPAT. So the last intervals for the run are probably faster. They're probably like a 8-minute pace, maybe even a 7-minute pace, but you're only doing it for 20 meters. So again, if you can do like a 9-minute or 10-minute mile, then you're probably set for that part. So a really low requirement. The seated throw, I explained that already. The standing long jump, you start on 2 feet. You have to land on 2 feet. You have to stick the landing. If you fall or take a step, you have to redo the jump. For both the throw and the jump, you get 2 practice ones first, and then you have 3 scored jumps or throws. And then they take your highest one. So that's how that works. The deadlift, you start off with, I think it's like 160 pounds, 150 pounds, something like that. You start off with that weight, and then you have to like go up in increments. And then all the way up to 220 is the max. So once you get to 220, that's the requirement for heavy, and then you're done if you do 220. So again, really low requirement. For the females, that might be something you need to train for a little bit. But it really should only take a few sessions, maybe a month of deadlifting at the gym, and 220 is not a big deal. I read an article yesterday. It's what like 14 and 15-year-old kids do in school, and that's like the requirement for max for like 11 Bravos or something. So I'm going like cyber or signal, so I only had to do moderate. Oh yeah, the requirements that you have to get are dependent on your MOS. So like if you're 11 Bravo, you'll need to get heavy in all the categories. If you're like IT, like cyber or signal, then you need to get the lowest one, moderate. I ended up getting heavy on all the events, even though I only needed moderate, just because, again, I keep saying the requirements are super easy. These are events I've either never done before, like the medicine ball throw. I've never done that before. Standing long jump, I probably haven't done since high school, probably 20 years ago, and I maxed out everything. So I do deadlift, so there's that. So I knew that was no problem. But anyways, and then the interval run. So how that works is it's the beep test. If you're familiar with like the civilian side beep test, how it works is you have 2 cones 20 meters apart, and there's some like audio thing that goes along with it, and start off with level 1. It'll say like, do a countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it'll go beep, 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 and then you start running to the next cone. So it starts off as a really slow jog. You have to get to the next cone by the time the next beep hits. And it starts off super slow. So pace yourself. Keep the pace real slow. You can almost walk level 1. Not quite, just like a slow jog for level 1. And then you do that 7 times for level 1, and then it goes up to level 2. I think it's 8 times for level 2. So level 2 gets a little bit faster. Level 3 gets a little bit faster. To pass, to get moderate, you need level 5, number 4. To max it out for heavy, you need level 6, number 2. And 6-2 is not that hard. Like I said, if you're doing a 9-minute mile, you'll have no problem getting 6-2. And you'll be breathing heavy. It won't, you can't just walk it. But it's not a problem. I could have gone, and just to show how this scoring is, I'm super out of shape. If I had to run a PT test today, I probably wouldn't pass it. But I maxed out heavy on this run. So that just kind of goes to show you how easy this test is. There was a couple people, again, that failed it. They probably dropped out around level 4. They probably just haven't been running at all. Because I've only been running in the last couple weeks, just since I decided to come back in, and passed it no problem for heavy. Anyway, so we did the OPAT. After that, we broke for lunch for a little bit. We just had MREs. I ate some crackers. Then we had the people shipping in the next 30 days or so. I was a little bit over 30 days, but they still pulled me into that group to do some paperwork for shipping. Just like some things we had to kind of sign, just saying we understand certain things. Saying like, I understand that I need a security clearance and I need to bring this and that to basic or whatever. Stuff like that. So did that. After that, this was the afternoon by this time, and so we were just kind of told to go with the rest of the group. And so there were people just like off the side, all talking. Some people that have been to basic already were telling stories about what their basic was like. We were kind of standing around doing nothing. That could have been handled a little bit better. I feel like we could have been like doing knowledge stuff, talking about rank structures or something to help out the newer people. We were just like sitting around talking for like an hour. I think the cadre were doing something, but anyways, so finally someone came out and said, if you have a bag in this room, take it out. So we took our bags out, we got final formation, and we're released for the day. So that was it. Not a big deal, just a lot of paperwork. Didn't get smoked, didn't get yelled at. A lot of it was different because it was only a 1-day drill because of the government shutdown. So I do have my next drill, which would be my last drill of this unit, in February, in 2 weeks from now. So I'll explain how that goes. It might be a little bit different now that I'll be falling into kind of what everyone else is doing. I'll probably also be put in charge because I'll be the highest ranking there, which is no big deal. It would be nice to like have some structure and actually like have someone to take charge, because like when you just have a bunch of privates sitting around, no one's gonna like take charge and do knowledge stuff or anything. So yeah, it went fine. Not really what I expected, but not a big deal. They know how to handle prior service. So if you're prior service going to RSP, yeah, you're probably not, I mean, of course, every unit, every state is going to be different, but don't expect to get smoked. Treat everyone with respect. Don't treat the cadre and other soldiers like crap, obviously, but you're not going to have to stand at parade rest to talk to NCOs, most likely, and stuff like that. So, but also be mindful that I was in civilian clothes, and no one knew. I didn't have my rank on. No one knew what rank I was. So, just be mindful of that. If other privates see what appears to be from a distance that you're disrespecting NCOs, just keep that in mind. So, just because you might be like the same rank as someone that you're talking to, be professional about it, and keep in mind that you're setting an example, and other privates are looking at you and seeing how you're interacting with them. So that's the one thing I'd say to keep in mind, is just be professional. So that's it for this time, and I'll let you know how next drill goes.